Anderson's going to work. George puts up a long range three and nails it. Kayla G for three. Back to Nicholson and off the glass.
Three ball. Unbelievable. Been an impressive performance.
Shot, she gives it off. Almost a half court from Melbourne. It's gone. And the look on her face says it all.
Round 14 of the Cygnett WNBL is Indigenous round. Welcome to the State Basketball Centre for the Flyers and the Lynx. This game will be played on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We acknowledge them as the traditional and ongoing custodians of the land and pay our respects to their elders, past and present. On the court, this one shapes as a top four showdown with big ramifications for both sides. Liam Ellison here alongside one of the sharpest basketball minds, Mark Alabakov. This, Mark, should be a tight one.
It really should. The two games they've played so far this season have been phenomenal. You know, you've got finals implications for both teams. Perth, who's in the picture for the first time, and Southside playing for a top two finish.
Absolutely. Southside currently in second position with a 13-5 record. Perth, meanwhile, after last night, for the first time this season, Mark, they are in the top four after a lengthy chase.
Well, they've taken some time to find their way. They had such a big roster turnover from the previous season's lineup that they were able to roll out, and being able to find the flow, find a role for everybody, and then acclimate to a new style of play with new teammates has taken time. They're really playing their best basketball at the back end of the season, where they've had some time together now.
It was the loss to the Bendigo Spirit last night that sees them into the top four. Perth, they'll need to win today to stay there. Southside, though, need a win to stay in top two.
Yeah, and you know, for the Perth Lynx, they've got two games in hand, so this one is a really pivotal one for them, not only for the season series against the Flyers in particular, but to put a whole lot of pressure and gravity on next week's clash with the Bendigo Spirit, which could determine who makes up that fourth spot in the finals race.
Both teams coming off wins into this one. The Southside Flyers played the lone game of last weekend, the rescheduled game in Geelong in the FIBA window. It was a 6-point victory over the Bendigo Spirit. Meanwhile, Perth on Thursday had a dominant 108-82 victory against Adelaide. So in some fine form, as you mentioned, Mark, are the Lynx.
They really are, and they score in waves. You know, they score in bunches with a barrage of three-pointers, and there's always that imminent threat of 3 or 4 or 5 going down in a period of time. So it's almost like a dam that'll break at some stage, and then Perth can go from being down a period of points to all of a sudden being back in the contest or pushing out a lead.
The home side Southside Flyers lineup on your screens in just a moment. Lots to like here, Mark.
Yeah, look, I mean, they're one of the most talented rosters that's ever been assembled. I mean, you look from top to bottom, there's talented athletes that come in and play a role and play with confidence. They've got points of difference. You look at their bench, for instance, Carly Ernst comes in and delivers three-point shooting and is always an imminent threat. Nards Potch has done a fantastic job at being that slashing floor runner and tough matchup with her athleticism. Monique Conti doing a fantastic job of being a defensive pest, but then also organising her offense.
Nadia Potch, of course, missed last outing due to concussion protocols, in uniform and listed to play today. Some of the stars for the Flyers as well, Mark, here. Little big three, if you like, for this afternoon. Yeah, Maddie Rott, she plays best in the open floor, and the team defense that the Flyers have been playing has allowed her to do what she does best. She's creative, she makes plays off the dribble. Thornton has been one of the best imports that we've had in the WNBL, and you can see the amount of trust that she has from Coach Chambers. They drew up a game-winning play for her to be able to take that shot. She's a talented scorer in and out, and then you've got Blitzars, phenomenal athlete, having a hell of a season. Had a 41-point game against the Melbourne Boomers earlier in the year. Just an impressive athlete that plays hard both ends of the floor. We've got plenty of firepower, as we know. The Southside Flyers, one of the last times they were at this venue, they put up 118 on the board against the Bendigo Spirit. Here's the Perth Lynx lineup as well. Some great continuity they've had this season with the starting five in particular. Yeah, they have, and they've built their whole identity on the ability to shoot the three-point shot from all positions. In their past 5 games, they've averaged 93 points as a team, which is 10 more than their season average for the rest of the season combined. So they're firing on all cylinders, shooting the ball well, but then orchestrating the shots that they want. They've been great as well. Another one of the league-leading offenses, the Lynx, into the top 4. Here's some of the stars that are the reason why the Lynx are coming for the finals.
all three of these athletes can be match winners on any given night. So all three of them average 2 or more made three-pointers per game. You've got Amy Atwell, one of the deadliest three-point shooters that we've got within the competition. She's a big game player, has come from a stellar college career and then lighting it up within the WNBL. Sammy Whitcomb, goes without saying, fearless leader, worth the price of admission. And when she's in refuse to lose mode, she's as good as it gets within the comp. Chloe Bibby has been a fantastic player in the league too and has been really clutch when Perth has needed her to be.
She certainly has been, coming off a 29-point performance against Adelaide on Thursday. 5 triples in the third quarter alone for Chloe Bibby, coming into this one with some form. Here we go, WNBL Indigenous round here at the State Basketball Centre. Top 4 showdown. The Southside Flyers and the Perth Lynx, and Thornton to contest the tip for the home side. Wins down first possession for the Flyers. Here's Rochi with the basketball, fans on their feet, and Thornton with the opening 2.
And exactly to be expected, right? You've got Kayla Thornton, such trust that they have in her as a scorer. They go to her early in the game to try and get her offensive game flowing.
Ryan backs it out to Scherf. Having a great season for Perth. Here's Whitcomb down the lane, stopped by Southside. Rochi straight away turns the Jets on, goes right at Scherf.
And confirming what I mentioned earlier, plays great in the open floor, so quick off the first dribble and covers the floor really fast.
Ryan down the keyway. Blitzarch, great finish, Robbie Ryan. First bucket for the Lynx. Here's Bishop. Hands it over to Blitzarch, off the dribble, draws the foul. Sarah Blitzarch will go to the charity stripe.
And this is her athleticism at play, right? So she's got the ability to have the quickness of a guard, on that rip through in that first step, but she's got the body of a power forward. She's almost like to scale, like a LeBron James type of level of athlete and athleticism within our competition.
Making on the first. Great Sunday afternoon crowd here at the State Basketball Centre. And Blitzarch goes 2 from 2. Nice opening from the Flyers. Here's Ryan with the rock. Scherf at the elbow. 3 ball goes up, just missing. Rochi pulls it down for Southside. Again pushing the pace. Beck Cole for 3 on the wing.
She's done such an amount of work on her three-point shot. We've known her in the competition of being tough to handle off the bounce. Where she can mix in that three-point shot makes her really tough to guard as a scorer.
Here's Bibby in the corner. And Cole with the steal. Flyers again in transition. Rochi just keeps it in bounds. So now Kayla Thornton will stop from 3. And the Lynx with the stop.
Frenetic pace early.
Certainly is, and a travel call. Referee will slow it up right there on Amy Atwell.
So early days here, you can see the Perth Lynx are playing at a tempo that's a little bit elevated from what they're used to. So they're rushing some of their actions. You want them to probably settle down and get a well-executed offense next possession.
Cole from the free throw line. Good start for her and good start for the Flyers. It's a timeout on the floor here. 11-2 opening to Southside. And this timeout brought to you by CTM Sport. If you're looking for a customised travel solution for your basketball team, make sure you consider CTM Sport. You can explore their range at ctmsport.com.au. So a great opening to the Flyers. Missed just the 1 field goal so far in Perth. Their early days, as you mentioned, Mark, with a bit to talk about.
Yeah, look, I think Coach Petrick will be discussing some of the ball pickup defensively. So it's been able to, after a shot attempt, just leak out really quickly for the Southside Flyers, allowed their running game to get going. They do a tremendous job of spreading the floor, and then they've got so many talented scorers. So anything that you run out to contest, you're either late to, or it's really obvious that you're running out with a hand, and then they'll drive that thing right by you.
Season series, of course, up for grabs today. May or may not have ramifications at season's end, but these two have been close throughout the 2 games they've played so far, Mark.
They have. Perth has been nothing short of gallant in the first 2 games that they've competed against one another. Arguably 2 of the most resilient games that Perth has been able to play. I believe one of them was without their captain, Sammy Whitcomb. So to be able to push a talented squad like this and knock them off in one of those 2 games is a testament to how resolute that lineup can be.
Win the most recent matchup between the two, Perth. 94-86 in Jan 13 in Perth. Call here from the referee. Remains Lynx basketball. And a great look as well at those fantastic Indigenous jerseys both teams are wearing. Here's Ryan. Scherf, the handoff. Whitcomb. Ibby moving it onwards. Ryan dumps it down low, poked out by Bishop. And Blitzarves will corral. Now into the front court. Thornton on the low block. Has the mismatch on Atwell. Fade away from Thornton is good.
That's a tough shot. There's not much more that Amy Atwell could have done in that particular possession.
Blistering start here from Southside. Already the 11-point margin. Less than 3 minutes into the ball game. Whitcomb tries to take on Rochi. Finds some space off the window.
This is early Sammy Whitcomb refused to lose mode. You can see in the past couple of possessions, she's had a different intent. She's taking it upon herself to lift her team.
Moved into top 5 in league scoring over the last few games. Sammy Whitcomb, 17.5 points an outing. And the call against Atwell.
Now, always challenging. So she's had 2 possessions in a row, Amy Atwell, where she's had to defend a post up from Kayla Thornton. Far better to try and do all of your dirty work early. Try and restrict Kayla Thornton's ability to get a deep seal or a catch on the post. And then you want to keep your feet and body away so that you can contest with your length.
Cole off the backboard. And Scherf flicks it out to Whitcomb. Here's Alex Sharp into the ball game. Steps into a triple. Nearly the friendly roll off the backboard, and Bishop's there. Rochi will have to slow it up. And Abby Bishop steps out of range.
And that's the challenge that you have when you're the Perth Lynx and you've got Lauren Scherf in a dropped defense. So she plays basically like a one-player zone within the keyway. The challenge that comes when you're playing that style of defense, if you've got a shooter that's a post player like Abby Bishop, it puts you a little bit susceptible.
Whitcomb just missing on the floater. Now Rochi again down low. Thornton just takes it and goes. Not that time. Sammy Whitcomb assessing, flicks it forward. Bibby, count the bucket. 1 to come at the line for the Lynx.
That's a heck of a pass by Sammy Whitcomb. The court vision to be able to just slice that thing through, and with a non-preferred left hand, phenomenal court vision and decision-making by the fearless leader.
Great look on the replay there. Flicked it forward. Bibby with the first field goal of the contest. Looking to continue her dominant round 14 so far. Continuation free throw goes. Perth just steadying here halfway through the first. Trying to hold off this Southside onslaught. Here's Thornton. Blitzarves, top of the keyway. Mid-range 2 was good.
And that's tough, but that's the type of shot that you want to force if you're the Perth Lynx. So as soon as Sarah Blitzarves caught the ball, she's a right-handed driver. If you overplay that side, you send her back to her left. She didn't go left. It opted to pull up and shoot the ball over the top. That's a good result, even though the ball went down.
Whitcomb for 3. Just rattles out. Thornton with the rebound. Southside looking to continue this offensive start. Foul call before the shot. 7 of 10 from the field here. Early days are the Flyers. Rochi drawing the foul there. So 16 to work with. Mon Conti checking in as well for Cheryl Chambers' team. Cole backs it out. Ernst straight away. Deep triple. Conti!
And when you've got an athlete the caliber of her that can come in and hit shots, she's got quarter-court 3-point range. It makes them really tough to deal with.
Turnover. Ernst ahead to Cole. Now Thornton tried to get it back. Bibby was there, but out of bounds.
One too many passes. I think Kayla Thornton should have just gone up with the right hand there. It would have been an open or semi-contested layup. I think she had enough room to be able to lift the ball with her right hand and get it up on the glass.
Turnover, something Perth need to be wary of today, given that Southside's so deadly in transition.
Yeah, and you know that's part of their defensive identity, right? So the ability for them to put pressure on or keep you to one shot attempt and then done, and then they get the ball out quickly and find somebody who can go with pace. You know, a lot of times that's Maddie Rocci. When Monique Conti comes in the floor, like that's her.
Conti gets it into Thornton, missing off the back heel. Last touch, Whitcomb. So Southside again, they'll reset. 14-point leaders here as Nadia Poch checks in. Welcome back into the lineup after the one-game absence due to the concussion protocol. Here's Blitzarves. Great denial there by Bibby. Stays with it, and Perth with a stop. Great defense. Needs some assistance via a teammate. Scherf's there, as is Poch. Chaotic few moments. And Southside do well to force something there.
And on show is the hunger of these teams, right? So battling for possession. You've got people diving on the ball. The gravity of this type of a contest is akin to a finals matchup. And we're not even into the finals yet. So what a treat for us as viewers.
It does have those ramifications. It really is finals come early, Mark.
Yeah, you know, look, you've got both teams who are playing for something far bigger than what this game, you know, exemplifies for them. There's so many ramifications for Perth. It's their season on the line. If they can get a win, it goes a long way to putting them in that finals picture. For Southside, top two on the line.
Flicked off the window by Burrows. Great finish on the left hand. Conti, hand off to Poch. Thornton's there. As is Carly Ernst, fumbles. Burrows picks it up. Breaking away. And transition bucket just misses. So Southside get out of jail. Poch did well. Conti moves it onwards. And Whitcomb did well to track down Blitzarves. So now they'll reset. Conti, space to fire again from three.
Massive shot, and comes on the back of great floor spacing where the ball changes sides. They force Perth to have to cover so much distance defensively and then try to lock down in the last few seconds. It's a really, really tough thing to do.
Perth looking for an answer. Sharp off the pine, not that time. Southside hunting, moving forward. Here's Poch inside the keyway, spinning around. Nadia Poch, what a move. This is scintillating stuff from the home side. 26 points on the board. Plenty of time remaining in the first quarter. Whitcomb. Perth trailing. Bibby. Tough contest. And again they get the stop. Conti moves it ahead. Now Thornton backing down sharp. Inside the lane. And they do just enough, but tapped out by Thornton. Great second effort. Ernst with a screen. Down low. Fading on sharp and the make. Well, we've seen it on this floor before, Mark, where the Flyers just can't miss. And 8 minutes into this contest, it looks the same as Scherf missing on the free.
The shots at one end look like they're going into a hula hoop. At the other end, they're going into a coffee cup.
Unbelievable stuff. Carly Ernst wants the handoff to Poch. Now got the post-up opportunity. Ernst goes straight at the rim and the foul call. There it is again, that mismatch. Libby had to come across to help. So Flyers ball. Already a 19-point margin. Can you believe it? 64% shooting on the field in this one. And in fact, Ernst will shoot 3 throws to extend it. Good on the first. shooting 92% on the year from this spot. 48% from three. What a piece to have off the bench for the Flyers, and she goes 2 of 2. Perth need an answer here. Here's Scherf. Nice pass to Burrows. She'll fire inside the lane, and again missing. They found themselves in some good spots, Perth. Just haven't converted. As Ernst for 3. Carly Ernst converts, and the Flyers continue.
My goodness. This is some offensive exhibition.
Here's Burrows. Now Sharp. In the corner. 3 ball from Gandini falls. The lucky break that they needed, the Lynx.
It goes without saying they needed some of those to go down just to take the sting out of the game, settle everybody down.
So Rochi, driving hard, stays with the Flyers.
For me, 2 of their past 3 possessions, the Lynx look rushed, look out of sync. Looks like they're trying to force points and trying to get, almost by sheer will, you know, the scoreboard to tick over in their favour. They operate best when they're all on the same page.
Ernst stepping out again, same spot. Not that time. And the foul call on Rochi. The first personal. Minute remaining in this first quarter. Here's Burrows. A long way back for Perth now. Plenty of time remaining in the contest to trim it down. Probing. Now Scherf at the elbow. Back to 19 points, the margin. Here's Thornton. Rochi poked away there by Burrows. Single digits. Ernst steps back and fires.
You've got to make Carly Ernst put the ball on the floor. She's too deadly a shooter from, goodness, like anywhere within the half court. If I'm being honest, if you're Lauren Scherf, you've probably got to get a hand to her now that she's hit a couple. Got to play her a whole lot closer.
Tried to get it down low. Defense was there from Nadia Poch. And Carly Ernst now up to 9 points in just 5 minutes.
And that's the strength of this Southside Flyers lineup and the class of Carly Ernst. She can come in and give you a cameo performance off the bench, go bang, 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 and put you in, a position now where we're staring down the barrel of a 20-point lead here in the first quarter.
Off the foot of Poch. Perth will go again. 9 to work with. What can they draw up here? The Lynx. For Ryan Petrick's team. And it goes. Mackenzie Clinch-Hoycard converts on the 2. So now shot clock is off. 9 seconds. Rochi. Foul call on Gandini. And Rochi will go to the line for 2 in the bonus. Will extend this lead back out to 21 points if she's successful. State Basketball Centre crowd has been treated to an offensive explosion to start this one. And Rochi just missing on the first. Having a great season in this Flyers uniform. 15 points, 5 dimes, and misses on both. So now the Lynx, maybe one last heave. Burrows from beyond half court puts it up. No good off the window. So a 19-point ball game. The Flyers have put 35 on the board, shooting 61% from the field, 5 of 7 from 3. Mark Alabakov, gee, couldn't have picked this, could we?
No, not at all. A phenomenal start all season, first quarter, by the Southside Flyers. Phenomenal offensively with their ability to fill up the cup in different ways, in transition, in the half court, in the post, kicking out for threes, off dribble penetration. They've got 8 separate scorers. As you said, they're shooting 63% from the field, but then 83% from the three, which is, that'll regress to the mean somewhat, but my goodness, 17 bench points as well. Which holes do you plug if you're the Perth Lynx? They've got to come up with something. It may be a defensive strategy change-up that disrupts the flow of this Southside Flyers team, because they're firing on all cylinders right now.
Bench points, very impressive number. Carly Ernst leading the way in the ball game with 9 points off the pine. Monconti as well has a couple of those triples with 6 points. And Poch as well rounds out the bench scorers. Here's your stats on your screen now, and really it tells a story, especially in the shooting percentages.
Yeah, and I mean, the three-pointers is the one that's most glaring. So you look at Perth Lynx, their identity is built on their ability to play 5 out with their spacing, so they open up the whole keyway. They get to the rim with stuff, but then they drag you in, and then they want to kick the ball out and move it around till they find the weak link in the chain and try and hit a 3 over the top. So shooting 1 of 7, that's a little bit less of the identity of what we see. You probably see that start to spike up a little bit. There's been at least 3 clean looks that I can think of in that quarter that just rattled around and then fell out for them. If some of those landed, maybe we've got a little bit more of a ball game, but that doesn't discredit the amazing first quarter of offensive prowess that the Flyers have had.
Certainly have had a few misses in the keyway. The Lynx, despite that, still leading the way in the points in the paint column, partly because Southside have been so scintillating from beyond the arc. So second quarter, not far away. Perth on the comeback trail. Sunday afternoon doubleheader of the Cygnett WNBL for Indigenous round. And the WNBL is heating up as finals approach. Second versus fourth on the table here. Blitzarves to inbound. And Rochi will start us off. Here's Cole on the wing. Gets around Burrows. And the floater rattles home.
And she's one athlete that I can see lifting with her points production in the absence of Lauren Jackson towards the back end of this season.
Had a quieter year in the scoring column by her lofty standards. So much talent around her, it's easy to see why. There's Thornton on the contest, will be assessed with a foul.
And back to Cole, I mean, there's only a few years that we're removed from her being second in MVP voting for the entirety of the competition. So we know the type of caliber of athlete that she is, but one that can win you a match off the, her own bat, so to speak. She was incredibly clutch against the Bendigo Spirit, got them over the line with some big threes and some clutch free throws. She's got the capacity to carry you through portions of a game with her offensive package.
Averaging the 9 points per game this season is Beck Cole, missing on the first. It's Jesse Edwards. Southside crowd doing their best to deter, and they do just enough. So even the free throws not falling at the moment for the Lynx. Thornton picked off by Bibby. So he's a fresh 14 for Southside.
Now, apart from Bibby on the floor, everybody else for the Perth Lynx are players that come off the bench. So Coach Ryan Petrick trying to roll the dice, trying to find a little bit of a spark in terms of energy, but then also competitiveness from his team on the defensive end.
Cole stepping back. Ernst did well, spiked it out to Rochi. Extra possession, Southside. Edwards trying to man Ernst tightly. Now inside the key. Ernst into double figures. Southside's offense continues. Clinch Hoycard. Hand off to Gandini. Rips and goes baseline. Good contest. Blitzarves. Now Cole. They push the pace again, the Flyers. Perth get back. Ernst there with the pick. Wants some movement. Rochi takes Edwards off the dribble. And the contest was a foul. So Rochi will head back to the free throw line.
And Southside doing a pretty good job, if you look at the past 2 possessions, of exploiting the switching defense that the Perth Lynx are using on any pick and roll coverages. So they'll swap who's guarding the screener and who's guarding the ball handler. And sometimes that puts you at disadvantages, right? So you had the smaller Gandini having to guard Carly Ernst going to the rim. So Cole passes with the ball, they get 2 points. And then on the last possession here, you have a switch with Rochi on the taller Edwards out on the 3-point line, so she takes her off the dribble.
Rochi making on those 3 throws. And the Lynx still searching for the answer in this second quarter. Burrows backs it out. Lynch Hoykard runs into Blitzarves. Bibby run off the 3-point line. Great finish.
Clutch finish, because she has quite a lot of attention. It looks like the lineup for the Lynx are moving the ball around and sharing it, but at the expense of who's actually going to take the shot. And then Bibby takes it upon herself, makes a tough one from the baseline.
Call here from the referee. Stays with Southside. So baseline ball, 15 to work with. 23 points the margin here in your Sunday afternoon matinee. Into Rochi. Now Ernst backing down Edwards. Fading away, drops it. Of course she does. Ernst on fire.
Keep going to her. Keep going to her. Keep drawing up plays to get her shots.
Rochi pokes it away, stays with Perth. Whitcomb, fade away triple. Won't go. Now Rochi probing, pushing on Edwards. Finds the bottom of the backboard.
And unlucky on the finish, but doing a tremendous job of pushing in transition. So for her to go from where she got the ball to the tip of the rim is a tremendous job, and probably says a whole lot more about the way that the Perth Lynx are defending right now. They need to pick the ball up earlier, and then, then maybe you don't get Maddie Rochi being able to have an open lane all the way to the hoop. But credit to her, you've got to keep seeking it if you're Maddie Rochi every time you get possession.
So Thornton will take a break after paddling it out of bounds on Bibby. Now Atwell on the baseline. 11 seconds. Whitcomb off the dribble. And the 3 balls not dropping for Perth. Now 1 of 9.
And a lot of them have come in these past couple of possessions off one action. So you haven't really forced the Southside Flyers to have to defend more than one thing. You haven't really moved them to create any time or space advantage. So everything that you get up is highly contested. So yes, it's a 3-point shot, but it's a really highly contested one against a taller defender with a hand up.
Here's Poch. Ernst posting up and Clinch Hoykard. Cross-court pass to Cole. The floater falls.
Beautiful floor spacing.
Now up to 27 points. Poch, and the turnover as well against the Lynx. Continuing 3 minutes into this second quarter. Now the timeout, unsurprisingly. 45, the Flyers lead the Lynx 18. This timeout brought to you by Cygnett. This game has been shell-shocking so far for the Lynx, but the fans tuning in from home or on the go, make sure your Cygnett charging products are ready to power up your devices, because you won't want to miss the second of this season's WNBL action. Check out the extensive range of Aussie-designed digital accessories right for you at Cygnett.com. The Cheryl Chambers team, you'd have to say they'd be pretty pleased with how this one's gone so far, Mark. Now,
yeah, for sure. And for me, visibly, they're playing at 2 different speeds. So in transition, they're looking to push. They've got beautiful spacing. And then in the half court, when it's their turn to execute, they're doing a great job of being able to maintain that spacing as the ball changes sides of the floor. And when I say spacing, that's vertically, but then also horizontally. So there's almost a paddock for people to be able to throw the ball into the post without it being contested, or take people off the bounce like you saw Bet Cole do for that little floater that she got in the possession earlier.
Dominating the rebounding column as well, 18-7 in this game of Southside. Not much going the way of the Lynx. Coming into this ball game with such a rich vein of form.
If you're Coach Chambers here, it's a great idea to run a heat check play for Carly Ernst. Get her a three-point look. She's shot beautifully for the start of this game. You want to run, or go to her till the well runs dry.
Atwell, not that time from the corner. Ernst with 13 points in 9 minutes. Missed just the one shot so far. On the flip side, yet another good look for Perth that just hasn't dropped.
Yeah, and they need a couple to land. I know that sounds elementary to say, but if they can continue to go there and create those open looks, they've shown a capacity to knock some of them down. And once you get one or two down on the board, as I mentioned earlier, everybody settles down. Now you can play at the tempo that you want, without feeling the frustration of having to chase down a margin.
Nice post move from Lauren Scherf. Moves her tally to 4. Rochi. Now Poch on the wing. Ernst down low. Blitzarves did well on the second opportunity. Couldn't find a teammate. Perth ball. Four minutes gone, second quarter. Here's Ryan. Perth have gone back to their starting 5 here. Hand off to Ryan. Gets around Poch. Driving hard, and the foul call.
And kept a straight driving lane, but that opened up for her as a result of the ball changing sides twice. So this is what I was talking about earlier. So you're going to have opportunities to go to the rim here, or where there's the imminent threat of you getting to the basket off the bounce, it pulls in other defenders, and then that's the domino that'll allow the others to fall in sequence, where you can kick the ball out perhaps to a shooter, or they'll be chased down by a defender. You make an extra pass, or maybe an extra pass again, and where they've got so much three-point shooting on the floor, that's the stuff that they want to do to get their offensive game going and knock their shots down.
As part of the WNBL's Indigenous Round, Basketball Australia has created a cultural awareness quiz to provide practical resources for the WNBL clubs and community to learn more about Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures. Head to WNBL.basketball to take the quiz now. Rochi with the rock for the Flyers. Now Thornton. Blitzarves trying to post up on Whitcomb. Rochi thought about the triple. 5 seconds. Now she'll fire. Just short. And Scherf will corral. Ryan has shooters to her right. Goes herself. Just missing. Now Poch in the open floor. And last touch by the Lynx. Once again, looking to push the pace of the Flyers. They've seen so much success here in this ball game. Thornton with the pick for Cole.
And there's that switching defense from the Perth Lynx.
Ryan got a hand on it. Fell to Rochi in the end, and she draws the foul. And that's been the ball game. Things just going the Flyers' way.
If that's on Amy Atwell, that's her third foul.
Another blow for Perth. Third trip to the free-throw line this afternoon already for Rochi.
It looks like Alex Sharp has come in as a substitute for Atwell, resting her with the foul trouble.
And Rochi splits a pair. Conti will replace. And it remains a 25-point ball game. The Flyers well in control. Still 5 minutes remaining before the main break for Perth to trim away at it. Ryan in the keyway. She'll go to the line.
And she's been a handful. She can get hot a little bit from the three-point line, but much prefers to go off the bounce. And she's such a physically strong athlete that when she's got her first step quickness and she gets a straight line drive, she can hold you, almost pin you to her side as she drives all the way to the basket, and then can play through some contact. She tries to leverage your body contact and then fade away and shoot on the release.
First drops. Starter in 15 of the Lynx's games this season, Robbie Ryan, in the import slot, averaging in double figures. And a key cog for Ryan Petrick's team.
Here's your defensive change up from the Lynx. So a half-court trap, a 1-2-2.
Bibby first to it. Conti to inbound. Cole's there. Here's Ernst. What a game she's played so far. She'll turn and fire herself. Finally the miss from Ernst. Ryan gets around Conti. Crossing on the left. Robbie Ryan. One to come at the line.
Coming up big here. I was about to give her some constructive criticism for not kicking the ball onto the corner there on her first dribble into the paint, but kept her bounce alive and then got herself all the way to the rim.
Smooth move on Blitzarves. So Ryan will have 3 throws to bring it to 7, or her personal tally rather, but it's a timeout on the floor first. The Flyers leading this one by 21 points. Lynx have just trimmed away somewhat over the last few minutes.
They have, the quarter is now 11-9 in favour of the Flyers, but, the Lynx have started to find a little bit of their form. It's come from a couple of defensive possessions where they've done a better job than what we saw in the first quarter alone. That allows them to get out and run. Now the ball's changing sides within the half court for them, so they're forcing Southside to have to play a little bit, a whole lot more on that defensive end, I should say. You're getting the driving lanes. You've got the step up from Robbie Ryan in the past couple of possessions here, taking it upon herself to be a catalyst within their offense. Now the next thing is, can you come out of this timeout with potentially another series of questions, a change in defense again, even if it's just for one play, force a disrupted rhythm from the Flyers again coming out of the break. But you're probably talking to Robbie Ryan, getting something for her in the next possession as well, but then alerting her that she's going to have a whole lot more gravity. The moment that she commits a second defender to her, as I mentioned before, that's the domino that'll set all the others in motion. She's got to kick the ball out, and then they might be able to get their 3-point shot going.
So Ryan at the line. She has been assertive, as you mentioned, Mark, in this second quarter. The Lynx, they need to win today to guarantee themselves top 4 spot going into round 15. And Ryan makes on the 3 throw. Back to 20, Rochi. And the foul call on Sharp.
And when you're a coach, you've got to be prepared to wear that, even though that's going to send them to the free throw line now. Look, you're 20 points down. You've got to roll the dice a little bit and ask for a crank up in defensive pressure, knowing that there might be a little bit of contact that sends them to the line here, but you might get away with 4 or 5.
Missing on the first is Rochi. In the bonus for the rest of the way. Another Flyers. And makes on the second. And 4 of 8 from the line on the game is Maddie Rochi. Scherf poked out by Conti. Remains with Ryan. Has Blitzarves there. Flyers got a hand in. Scherf, dribble, 3 ball, just too strong. So the Flyers with the stop.
And the Flyers have gone back to having Sarah Blitzarves on Robbie Ryan, the taller Blitzarves, who, when she's got a hand up, it's at 6'5" height.
Thornton. Blitzarves on the wing. Down low is Ernst. They'd extend the minutes here so far in this first half. Conti mishandles, somehow ends up with Rochi slicing through and missing. So the Lynx, somewhat of a lucky break there. Can they take advantage on the offensive end? Whitcomb driving on Conti. Tough finish. Sammy Whitcomb. Lynx, they're slowly building here.
They really are, and being able to get on the rim with stuff. So, I mentioned earlier they play a 5-out offensive system. So whatever pattern they run is out of that formation. So they spread the floor, they open up the whole keyway, and that's what makes you susceptible to having to defend, all of these drives to the basket and what looks like they're getting to the rim at will.
Whitcomb converts. So the margin back below 20. Got out to 27 at one stage. Rochi wants some movement. Conti again will fire. Flyers have cooled down somewhat from the three-point land. Scherf opted against the handoff. Driving on Ernst. Flying out of nowhere with sharp offensive board. Sammy Whitcomb. Scherf will chase it down. Fresh 14 Perth.
Nice pass.
Finds Burrows. Ernst was there. Good defense.
And had the most space on the left side of the hoop there. If she finished with her left hand, that would have been a big play for momentum.
So a bit better from the Lynx. Creating extra looks, hunting down loose balls. Now they've got 8 seconds to work with on this baseline play. Scherf tried to release Whitcomb. Rochi saw better of it. Ahead to Blitzarves. Great pass, great finish, Beck Cole. Back to 20 and a steadying bucket as well. Clean defense again from Ernst. She's been stellar so far in this game. Cole in the corner, back out. Ernst, deep triple. What else but the bottom of the net for Carly Ernst?
Great ball movement, and you've got two athletes between Ernst and Cole that when they make connections between them, they're two of the highest IQ players within the competition, and they look for one another. They've got a radar for where the other is.
Scherf spinning in the lane. Crafty move.
The challenge for the Lynx here in these 2 minutes, you've had two goes at the basket there with no Lynx players ahead of the driver. No one in the corner to kick the ball to. Everyone's been behind the line of the ball. So if that layup doesn't go down, you're in a lot of trouble.
Thornton picks up her dribble. 5 seconds. Cole from the baseline. Scherf pulls it down. Falls right out to Blitzarves though. Now Thornton on the O-glass. Stayed with the play, Southside, and they've been rewarded. Rochi into a 3-ball for the Flyers. And that hurts if you're Perth. Improved couple of minutes, but it's back out to 24 points the margin. Rochi flew in for the steal attempt. Burrows sees parted, but Blitzarves D was stellar. Now Rochi stops at the free-throw line. Down low, Blitzarves, Thornton, too much space, too easy.
Way too easy. I think the closest player was Alex Sharp then. You'd want her to come and make a play at that layup attempt. It looked like she stopped competing on that play.
Here's Whitcomb. Tries to get around Rochi. 3-ball for Whitcomb, drops. First triple of the contest for Sammy Whitcomb. She's got 8. Now Ernst. Less than a minute remaining in this first half. Rochi tried to find Ernst at the high post. And the foul call. So they'll go to the line, the Southside Flyers. Carly Ernst infringed. In very safe hands to have it in. Ernst brings her tally to 17. And goes 2 from 2. So Southside approaching 60 points and a half here at the State Basketball Centre. Ryan tries to take Rochi off the dribble. And the foul call. Ryan will head back to the charity stripe. 4 of 5 from this spot so far this afternoon. Second personal on Rochi, and she can't believe it.
And Robbie Ryan done a fantastic job of being an offensive catalyst for them. You know, being able to go with straight line drives, gets herself to the tip of the rim, gets herself to the free throw line. It helps to slow the game, take a little bit of a sting out of it for you know, the way that the Flyers have been playing offensively, and allows your defense to get back and set. If she can make this free throw, then you've got all 5 players back behind the ball.
Just missing on the second. So Cheryl Chambers taking no risks on the third personal for Rochi. Conti comes in to replace. to finish the half. Here is Monconti, 7 seconds. Ernst is there for the pick. Driving in the keyway, out to Thornton from the wing. No good, 6 seconds. Sharp, got to go. Ryan can pull up from 3, and she'll get the call.
That's a great result, to be able to have 3 free throws now where she can knock them down. You end the half, as ugly as some of the portions of defensive play have perhaps been, and not to their normal standard, the Perth Lynx. If you can finish with 3 made free throws here, you go into the half break with a little bit of momentum, a little bit of belief, to come out and have a big second half.
She's been a standout so far in what's been a tough opening for Perth.
Yeah, she really has. Look, she's 2 of 3 from the field, but then been able to get herself to the free throw line. I believe this will be her set of free throws. It'll take her up to 9 for the half.
Makes in the first. And perfect so far on this trip. 1 to come. Bring it back to 21. If the shot is true, and it is. So that'll do it. Heave, probably too late. So close from Conti. But 59, the Flyers lead the Lynx 38. Scintillating opening from the Southside Flyers, shooting above 50% from the field and 50% from 3. And it has been the Carly Ernst show as well in the first half. She's got 18 points, 6 of 8 shooting, 2 triples in just 15 minutes. From the Perth perspective, well, Robbie Ryan's been great, 9 points. Sammy Whitcomb's got 8 as well. They've got a long way to come back. They've got to win here to stay in the 4. The Flyers need to win to stay in the top 2. Home court advantage at stake in the final. Stick around, second half not far away here for your Sunday matinee. And first up, of course, let's stick around for this interview with Abby Cabillo.
I think really early on, I probably didn't even know about the WNBL,
Step to the left, takes it all the way to the...
Darwin was sort of my whole world, but I also was lucky enough to have a coach who had connections in Sydney. He found a school, and then it was like really fast from there. It was like, you're going to boarding school in this many weeks.
Perfect. It
was pretty much a whirlwind, and it's felt like that ever since. It always feels like a refreshing feeling to get back here and spend that limited time that I generally do have.
So for the artwork, it's representation of you and your character. So was there any women that also influenced you on your journey?
Obviously, my mum and sisters have had a massive impact on me. My nana as well has been really influential. Her life story, being a part of the stolen generation, is just crazy. So I think that resilience that I have definitely stems from her and her guest life stories. It seems pretty crazy to have kids look up to me. I guess highlighting the Indigenous athlete, I think, gives them a realistic pathway to be able to achieve at the highest level. I think sport's such a great platform to be able to do that and use people that younger kids already look up to and put them in this light and say we want to celebrate this as a nation.
Wilson Adoda, nice finds. Wallace with the cut. Portland down low. Davidson, great movement. Easy bucket. George for 3.
Melbourne's off and running. A nice pass to Burrell. That's great play there from the Caps. Melbourne's got to go. Does she realise she has to go? Puts it up from long range. Oh, of course she knows she has to go. Shot clock ticks down below 10. Melbourne goes to work and gets the finish. And lets out the biggest scream. And the crowd get up and about because the Canberra Capitals have won their second game of the season in front of a delighted National Convention Centre.
Draws a crowd, leaves Woods wide open, and they pay the price. Timmy screaming from the inside. Tapped away by Reed, who was starting to really assert her authority. Goes to work on Scherf, gets it to go. Count the points, she's going to the line for an extra.
Nailed this one.
Reed's brought it very quickly in for Hawkins. Eyes like a Tiana Hawkins.
Inga Kahia on the wing. Puts it behind her back. Pretty move off the window. Probing. Assessing her options. 6 seconds. Goes herself to the rack. Manga Kahia. Kayla Thornton makes her move in the lane. Just misses. Oh, so close. And the Flames have come into Melbourne and stolen victory at John Cain Arena.
Team, you would never know that this is the very first time ever that a WNBL game has been at John Cain Arena. This is like a well-rehearsed crowd. It is actually nuts in here. I don't think I've ever heard it this loud, and I've been here for many different events. So well done to the WNBL crowd. Clearly passionate and clearly having a ball.
It's the biggest WNBL season yet, and superstar Lauren Jackson returns. Turn it up. Don't miss a block, basket, or game winner.
Just not steal the win.
WNBL, live on 9 now.
Do not underestimate the power of a good blind. Take this exhausted couch. Now it stands before you. Magnifique. Even this cocktail of dead skin is gracefully waltzing. Da 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 da. DIY blinds. Change the ugly.
I'm so ready for love.
Australia's biggest social experiment.
Oh my God.
It's not easy to meet girls when you're like 900 k's from civilization.
Is on 9 now.
I look like the girl next door. I'm actually a little freak in the sheets.
Stream every new episode of The Love Phenomenon. Completely free. Whenever you want.
Let's get married.
New Married at First Sight on 9 now.
Gossip Girl here, your one and only source into the scandalous lives of Manhattan's elite. XOXO Gossip Girl.
Get your summer streaming on 9 now.
So baby, in 90 days, we're gonna be husband and wife.
I was with her for 5 days, and then I proposed to her.
She's so eager to be in love, she lets red flags just go.
People say 19-year-old, she's just using you. Maybe she could be.
90 Day Fiancé. Get your summer streaming on 9 now.
Tune in to the WNBL show, dropping weekly during the season and released across your favourite podcast network every Tuesday. Or watch the full vodcast at WNBL.basketbol. League MVP.
I'll never get used to that, by the way. That's a bit strange.
We can always come to you for a great inspirational quote. Join me, Megan Hustray, and my team of co-hosts, stars across the league, as we talk about everything that's happening on and off the court in the Cygnett WNBL.
This year, Australia wants
more. Everything. That's way more than I thought.
more.
Celebrities, snogging with the stars.
More.
Exciting.
Shocking.
Unhinged. Thrilling. I don't mean dramatic, but should we call an ambulance? More Sophie Monk.
New The 100.
High five. What is happening?
The new season of The 100. Stream the latest episodes on 9 now.
Think about the lives wrecked. This man isn't a forensic pathologist. He's a charlatan.
One of Australia's most senior politicians on the payroll of the mafia. It's the worst question in the world to ask somebody. Do you think your mother killed your father?
Conspiracies, murders, cover-ups. Australia's most astonishing cases go under investigation. Stream the latest episodes on 9 now.
When you look at the elite levels of basketball, there's a lot of pathways at that level. But when you talk about community grassroots, it's a lot harder, I think, to sort of break through that barrier. But I think this platform is trying to sort of bridge that gap.
This platform really starts to drive pathways and opportunities, particularly around the pillars of coaching, officiating and administrating.
That's why this platform is important to me.
Welcome back to the State.
Flyers. The second quarter, far more of an arm wrestle, 24-22 in favour of the Flyers, but they still face there's a 21-point deficit if you're the Perth Lynx. The Southside Flyers, 8 scorers, they've got 26 bench points, they're shooting 50% from the 3, they've got 7 of 14, but only 16 points in the paint, so look to them to have that 3-point shot, having a whole lot more gravity within the second half of the game, and maybe they go back inside for one more pass or with some dribble penetration and get their inside game going as well.
They've got 26 bench points so far in this game, the Flyers, and largely thanks to the work of Carly Ernst, who has 18 points. Just about the best player on the floor so far, Mark, do you think?
Absolutely. And I mean, she's a phenomenal athlete. 250 plus games in the league. She's been a club MVP, been a captain, been a champion in our competition. She can play inside and out. She's got textbook form with her jump shot. And to have 18 points off the bench is massive for this team. Her 3-point range is almost back to anywhere as soon as she steps over half court. 6 of 8 from the field, 3 rebounds, 1 assist and 1 block. She's doing it all out there and then showing the full package of how talented and how full her bag is as an athlete.
Averages 12 minutes per game on the season. Of course, played above that already. 15 with how terrific she's been playing. But do you think increased opportunity down the stretch, obviously with the absence of LJ now for the remainder of the year?
You'd have to think so. I mean, by necessity, but also, by merit. She's a phenomenal basketball player that should be playing, these sorts of minutes for a high caliber team. When you've got the luxury of being able to, roll between her and Abby Bishop, you've got arguably 2 of the best posts within the entirety of the competition, but 2 that can play inside and out, which is just, it's such a boon for your roster to have that. You've got to guard them out to the 3-point line, but then they can play back to the basket as well.
7 of 14 from 3. The Flyers, the Lynx, haven't been successful from that range. They've had their looks. They've had their opportunities.
They have. They're 2 of 12 and shooting at 16%. Their average made threes is 10 for the game, so they're well below that. And their average percentage is 31%. Some have been unlucky. Some have been self-inflicted, just not creating the time and space advantages that they normally would.
Here we go. Third quarter underway. Deflected. Bishop with the steal. Turnover number 8 in the ball game for the Lynx. Now the deflection from Whitcomb. Stays with Cole. Rochi, extra pass. Bishop, space to fire. And Blitzarves is there. She backs it out. Rochi for 3 now. She drains it.
And that's big. The ball continued to move. They fought hard for possession and then found the open shooter.
Scherf. Hand off Whitcomb. Down low, thread the needle to Bibby. Just couldn't handle it. Southside ball.
So not the start that you'd want if you're Perth. You've got 2 turnovers on the first 2 possessions. You know, maybe orchestrating particular looks. You want to get a flow, get the ball changing sides of the floor. I think that's when they make their best decisions, the Perth Lynx.
Bishop. Now to Blitzarves. Reverse lay-in. Follows her own miss. Thornton will fire for 3. Just short. Rochi. Not quite. So the Flyers have had some slower offensive outputs over the last 2 games. They had 67 points in that game at JCA and then 75 in the win over Bendigo. Of course, already approaching those tallies here early in the second half.
On track to crack 100 the way they're going.
Here's Scherf. Backed out. Atwell. Triple. No good. And Bibby on the follow.
Outstanding hustle and follow-up. She comes up big when they need them. They need her to, Chloe Bibby.
Rochi. Gets around Thornton. Straight down the keyway. Muscles it up and in.
Really tough finish too. She didn't have a whole lot of room to be able to rip that ball over the top and then have a window to be able to get it up off the glass. Can't be understated how difficult to finish that is.
Annie Rochi up to 14. And makes on the 3 throw. Here's Ryan. And a terrific first half for the Perth Lynx. 12 points for her. Here's Bibby. Contest from Thornton will be a foul. 2 shots to come for Chloe Bibby.
I like the idea of trying to get Bibby on the move. She's such a physically strong body as well, and she can be quite agile off the bounce. So if you can get her an advantage where her shoulders are by, she can get all the way into the paint and finish through some contact as well, or at least get herself to the free throw line.
Good on the first. So the Lynx have got to the 3 throw line at a good rate so far in this contest. At their 15th and 16th shots from the line of the game. Is Cole from mid-range. And the foul call looks to be on Ryan. Stays with the Flyers.
And the Lynx still in that 1-2-2 half-court trap after free throws. So trying to take away some of the rhythm that the Flyers have transitioning from one end to the other. So where you've got a free throw, you've got the opportunity to be able to set up in some sort of a delay press, which they're doing.
So Emma Gandini will replace Ryan, who's got the 3 personals. And Ernst with some early second half minutes. We're headed the other way. Rochi looks to have copped maybe an errant arm to the face, but it goes against the Flyers.
That's a win for the Perth Lynx. Emma Gandini doing a tremendous job with her minutes in the past few games, coming in and just being a pest, for lack of a better term, defensively, getting under the skin of other point guards.
Whitcomb, step back triple won't go. Blitzarves running point momentarily. Cole into Ernst in the keyway. Ball's over Sammy.
And 2 good defensive possessions in a row where they've been prepared to put their body on the line, the Perth Lynx. This is what you want to see. They've got to now get their offensive flow going. You know, the margin is the difference, right? So being able to fill it up at the offensive end puts them back in contention, but it certainly helps where they can get some stops and gain some confidence from it to flow through to the other end.
23 points. There's the margin. 2.5 gone, 3rd quarter. Conti and Whitcomb at the 1. Gandini down low to Scherf. Cross court, little too much on it.
Unlucky overthrown pass. I don't think she realised how open she was in the post there. She could have turned and made a layup.
On Conti with 6 first half points. Ending point for the Flyers, Bishop. Down low to Blitzarves, great pass.
Outstanding pass. Great court vision, and Sarah Blitzarves does a tremendous job of back cutting whenever she sees pressure.
Bibby. No good that time. Long rebound falls to Ernst. Conti pushing the pace. Blitzarves. Textbook from the Flyers in transition. And the timeout on the floor. It is back out to an equal game-high 27-point margin. Southside just keep on motoring on here at the State Basketball Centre. And this timeout is brought to you by DIY Blinds. To fit out your home with Australian-made designer quality window furnishings at the best prices, head to DIYblinds.com.au to order your free samples today. For the Flyers, it's back out to 27, and it feels like every time Perth has just a little bit of momentum for 2 or 3 possessions, it's quickly stopped by easy buckets for Southside.
It really is, and I mean, you can watch this game and take all of the tactical moves out of it and just look at how hard does a team have to work to be able to put points on the board at one end versus the other team at the other end, and that passes the eye test alone. You know, the Lynx have to fight so hard just to keep the scoreboard ticking over, whereas it seems like it flows so easily for the Flyers. Blitzarves, fantastic job, 2 consecutive possessions. 1, the back cut off her IQ, so just great decision making from a great player. But then the second one that you just saw, pure effort, outrunning her matchup down the floor and getting on the end of a layup, where you've got an athlete of her size, of her strength, of her experience that can play smart and play hard. You know, like, these athletes are worth their weight in gold.
The ability to turn what should be a rudimentary defensive rebound into a great look in a matter of seconds for the Flyers has been impressive. Scherf missing in the paint again for the Perth Lynx.
Just got to knock that one down, ground her feet. You can take a shot fake if you need to gather your balance, but just got to put those ones away.
Bishop. Conti around the pick. And Scherf defending. Ernst for 3. Not quite, but Blitzarves again. Hustle for the Flyers. Colin, no rush. As Bibby defending her. 4 seconds into the corner. Blitzarves, good look. Can follow her own miss. Just mishandling. Whitcomb. Atwell. 3 ball.
They needed that.
Did they ever?
And she needed that. Amy Atwell can be such a deadly 3-point shooter. If she starts to get going, we could start to see a barrage of these 3-point shots going down.
Whitcomb muscles the steal out of Cole's hands. Back-to-back baskets for the Lynx. Into Conti. Ganzini trying to force an error.
If you're Coach Cheryl Chambers, you want to kill this flow early. I was going to say, if you don't get a score here, but they do.
Nice dime to Cole, slashing to the hoop.
She might have been thinking of a timeout, but you don't need that anymore.
Bishop coming across. Stays with Perth. And for all the effort to force steals over the last few possessions, tough to give up buckets like that to Beck Cole.
Yeah, and it's just deflating if you're the Perth Lynx, you know, that you've worked so hard on back-to-back possessions to do a heck of a job, get yourself back on the scoreboard and keep that ticking over, and then you give up a wide-open layup in transition. You know, these things are controllable to you.
Such as the effort required to try and erase a deficit. Such as this. Atwell short on the 3. Here's Conti down the lane. She draws the foul.
You've got to contest shots at the rim there. So I think it was Amy Atwell, last line of defense, has got to come across and try and blow up that wide open layup attempt, try and force Conti to make one more pass. And then while that ball is in flight time in the air, it gives your defenders a chance to rotate and then meet the ball where it's at, slow it up.
Well, after a 2-year hiatus, the Cygnett WNBL Awards Night is back, proudly presented by Foot Locker. Come and join in the celebration with players, game officials and sponsors as we all celebrate the season highlights and announce the MVP of the 22-23 season. For tickets to come and get involved in this magical night, visit WNBL.basketball. Whitcomb with the basketball for the Lynx as Conti takes advantage from the line. Oh, good on the left-hand layup.
Didn't have a presence on the offensive glass either to keep the ball alive. So you get that one layup attempt, and if it doesn't go down, that's the end of your offensive possession.
Whitcomb chasing down the loose ball. So stays with Perth. Looked after the ball pretty well today, the Flyers. Just turnover number 6.
I mean, they've been able to get it out and run in transition for the early portion of the game. So when you're able to have, a little bit of space and free-flowing offense, both in transition but then within your half court, you get a whole lot more shot attempts, so it puts you less susceptible to turning the ball over. So, credit to them and their offensive decision-making. I think that's what leads to the low turnover rate.
In Troikard. Hand off to Chloe Bibby. Ernst in defense. Another good contest from her.
She's having a ripper game, both ends of the floor.
Get the words right out of my mouth, Mark, because obviously the 18 point stands out, but using that length there once again. From 3, off the dribble, Ernst. There's the shot, just too strong. And Cole on the follow. Litzarves again, offensive rebound, number 11 now for the Flyers.
So tough to box out too. I think that's her 3rd or 4th offensive rebound. There's definitely 2 in this quarter that she's come up with.
Bishop. Gandini poked it away. Now Whitcomb. 4 minutes remaining in this 3rd quarter. Euro stepping through, and Whitcomb will go to the line.
She's really creative and balanced with her footwork too. So you see she lifts the ball over her head here. That allows her to turn her hips. So she's got her back facing Conti. Now there's a clear path for her to lift the ball with her right hand. Exceptional move from an exceptional player.
Couple of substitutions for the Flyers. Cole and Ernst take a seat. Thornton back out there as well. Whitcomb makes in the first. And takes care of business. Here's Conti for Southside. Thornton just at her feet. So turnover goes against the Flyers.
Yeah, unlucky. There's probably 2 things that can happen there. Conti can take an extra dribble to shorten that pass and make sure it gets to its destination. But then Thornton can also step and almost run through the basketball to make sure that she locks up possession.
Ryan. Finds Whitcomb. Tightly defended by Conti. Rochi does the same to Bibby. Backing down, draws contact.
Just what you need. She comes up big when you need her to, either on the scoreboard or she gets herself on the free throw line. Great recognition here of her going up against the smaller Maddie Rochi, and then instead of opting to shoot the 3-point shot where she's shooting over a guard in the guard's territory, so to speak, backs her way into the basket. That move a lot of coaches will refer to as a Barkley, named after Charles Barkley, the NBA superstar, to turn a drive into a post up and then try and take on the smaller defender close to the rim in your world as a forward.
Bibby good on the second. Conti. Man the offense for the Flyers. Thornton. Bishop's there with a screen, as is Thornton. Finch Hoykard switches over. Now Cole, 5 seconds. Driving, finds space from the elbow.
And she's starting to get going. She's up to 13 points, I believe.
7 of 12 shooting. One last touch by Bishop. And really, when you look across some of the big 5 at the moment in this season, everyone's dealing with some injuries to major players. Perhaps Perth, the team that has been least affected, but even Sammy Whitcomb being somewhat in and out, Mark. So,
yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, you've got the Southside Flyers, who even at their full powers are without Lauren Jackson, who I'm sure they'd prefer to have out there. The Townsville Fire have had Reed and Nicholson in and out within their lineup. The Bendigo Spirit, who've been in the finals picture, have Kelsey Griffin out of their lineup. In the finals or towards the business end, you just want to be both happy and healthy. I think it's if you distill it down to the 2 most important things, if you can have those 2 things ticked off and play with your full crew with full belief, it's so much about momentum at this time of the year.
Chloe Bibby with tough and 1 move just moments ago. So she'll have 1 to come at the line.
And she's really carried them. You know, you've had Bibi step up and put some points on the board. Robbie Ryan have a stint late in that first half where she was able to carry them. They've got a lot of offensive weapons. You know, this margin is now down to 22 points, but you just wonder if some of those three-point shots landed earlier, are we within striking distance if you're the Perth Lynx, or does it change the way that the Southside Flyers play?
Thornton in the lane, goes again. So 2 to come at the line for her. And it's a good point that you make, Mark. They're 3 of 17 from 3, Perth. They've clearly struggled from that area, but so many of them great looks, wide open.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, some of them were clean that just rattled around and fell out. Others were rushed and perhaps didn't create the time and space advantages that they would have liked to be able to get those shots off. But being that that's their identity, they've got to commit to that, especially through even the highest of defensive pressure, and have strategies to be able to alleviate those things. For the Southside Flyers, we've got a phenomenal offensive display, and Kayla Thornton is one of your best offensive players. That's only her 7th point right now, so she's yet to get going. It's a scary proposition if she's able to have a big last quarter and a half here.
3 players in double figures, the Flyers. Ernst, Rochi and Cole. Rochi currently on the pine with 4 personals. Ryan hesitates. Backs it out. Whitcomb for 3. Drops it in for the Lynx.
Down to 20. If they can trim this one down to the mid-teens, they might be in striking distance, because as I alluded to earlier, they can hit a bunch of threes like a tsunami almost in consecutive possessions.
Down low, Thornton. And that almost sums it up. Every bucket for Perth, so hard fought. And then the easy answer.
And terrific read by the Southside Flyers, knowing that there's going to be a crank up in defensive pressure. You're starting to look at ways both to alleviate that or penalise that with back cuts, and that's their second back cut score for the quarter.
Whitcomb's up to 17. Conti assessing things for the Flyers. Here's Poch. Picks up her dribble. Thornton, 4 seconds. Got to go from 3. Kayla Thornton. So now they can bring it under 20, the Lynx. Whitcomb crossing, driving on Conti. And the call on Thornton. That's her 4th.
And taking upon herself to try and get to the rim. I'd love to see some offensive rebounding here for the Perth Lynx. So as soon as someone goes to the bounce, can you stay in front of the ball, so you've got probably both corners loaded with 2 people who can shoot it, someone being able to crash from the weak side of the floor so that they can keep possession alive for you. It just gives Sammy Whitcomb options to be able to go to, and then protection if she misses the shot.
So is this the opening for the Lynx? They've got Rochi on the bench with 4. Kayla Thornton as well. That is her 4th personal. And yes, the margin as it is, but of course this team has seen how quickly that can be trimmed. A couple of weeks ago against the Spirit and Bendigo, 20-point three-quarter time margin was 4 points in the matter of 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's scary. When they get going, I use the analogy of a tsunami. It really is, of 3-point shots. If you're Coach Chambers, there's a multitude of things that you can do there to try and stem the tide if it starts to turn that way. That could be a timeout, that could be a defensive change-up, but till that comes, it's up to the Perth Lynx to be able to find some answers to the great defense that Southside's been playing.
Margin remains at 19 for now. Conti, good stop from Perth. Edwards with the contest. Scherf, she'll turn and go. Conti tried to come up with a steal, and Poch does for the Flyers. Ahead to Thornton and draws the foul. They make Perth play in transition once again, as they have all afternoon.
And they're a top team within the competition at points off turnovers. So the moment they bait you into an error, or they can force an error or speed you up where you cough the basketball up like that last possession, they go at a rate of knots, they run in numbers, and they've got players that are prepared to accelerate and get ahead of their matchup and give you targets to be able to throw to. And then, when you try and stick with them and you've got players that will chase them down, it gives more space to the ball handler, which is just as dangerous. So, you've got a chance to create a number of different wins if you're the Southside Flyers playing that way.
Thornton makes in the first. 17-7, an outing for the Flyers. 85% free throw clip. And she's into double figures. Ryan, what should be the final possession for the third quarter. And they bring it to under 20.
You'll likely see a shot here for Clinch Hoykard.
Clinch Hoykard, nice pass though to Scherf.
So using her as a decoy there, they get a big-to-big screen, so they pop Clinch Hoykard, who's a three-point shooter, and then slip Lauren Scherf to the rim, and then whoever's most open gets the basketball.
End of three, 19-point margin. The Flyers 81, the Lynx 61. They've trimmed away at this margin somewhat. Led that quarter 23-21 in the end, in a high-scoring period.
Yeah, you know, look, Perth wins the quarter. If we look at it 21-19, the second and third quarters become, you know, really tight. They're an arm wrestle, but it all comes back to perhaps the concentration, perhaps the effort, or, you know, just the offensive overwhelm that the Southside Flyers had in that first quarter being the difference and the margin within this game.
Offense in the third quarter, much improved for Perth. They obviously struggled early, shooting, you know, really low 30s from the field, but to put up 23 on the quarter, now 60 on the game. Pretty good clip, really, from a season average perspective.
Yeah, and look, they hit 2 threes within the quarter. They got themselves on the free throw line another 9 times, I believe. You know, these things help keep the scoreboard ticking over. And, you know, as I mentioned out of half-time, that three-point percentage is going to trend upwards. But, you know, is it too little, too late? You know, we've got a quarter left to find that out.
Got to the free throw line 23 times so far this afternoon, Perth. So that is the one thing that they have done quite well so far. Sammy Wickham leads the way with 18 points. And Carly Ernst as well, still the leader for the Southside Flyers with 18. It's Beck Cole with 15. Maddie Rocci, 4 personals, has the 15 points. And correction, Kayla Thornton has the 3 personal fouls. So she will, you'd think, remain out there to start the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and, you know, different people can carry this Southside Flyers team. So we've seen it come in, you know, almost like cameo appearances one after the other. So Maddie Rocci got going early in the game. Then you had the Carly Ernst show. Then that became the showcase of, you know, what Rebecca Cole can do. And then Kayla Thornton finishes you off in that third quarter. Who's going to step up next? It could be anybody. I mean, there's even a series of possessions where Sarah Blitzarv's, you know, made some fantastic IQ and effort-based plays to score at really opportune times. They're a tough team to deal with. They're tough to stop from top to bottom, and they've got anybody who can put points on the board in a hurry and be a match winner within their own right.
A good crowd here for your Sunday Arvo hoops at the State Basketball Centre. The WNBL Indigenous round. Cole into Bishop. Now Blitzarv's. They found some easy buckets in the paint in that third quarter. Can that continue? Cole, no good on the 3. And hunting it down there was Atwell. Here's Ryan. At the free throw line. Good contest late from Thornton.
But then all Perth Lynx players back behind Robbie Ryan when she shot that ball. So if the shot doesn't go down, you don't get an opportunity to get the ball back. So you've got to be, you know, phenomenally accurate, or, you know, or nominate some people to be able to go to the glass and try and keep that ball alive for your team. You know, often where their whole identity is built around the three-point shot, an offensive rebound with your shoulders facing away from the basket is a great time to kick the ball out and find a shooter.
Nice pass to Bishop, slashing to the bucket.
And I was going to speculate, she might be one they start to go to. They ran a back screen play for her at the start of the quarter. She's only had the third shot attempt, so that brings her up to 5 points. It goes to what I was saying earlier, the strength and, you know, offensive talent that this team has, and it's so broad, inside and out.
Conti, ahead to Cole. Tried to lose Atwell. Back to Cole. 9 seconds. Go under. She steps in for a mid-range 2. Cole's got 17.
Brings her to 17, and she's deadly off the bounce. Her mid-range game is as good as there is in the competition. So she's able to go both left and right with that, and often teams will try and push her to her left hand because she's tough to stay in front of when she goes to her right. You know, her ability to hit a step back, a floater going left, you know, she's been able to knock that down in this game, and when she's got her shot going, she's deadly.
Scherf in the post, just short on the hook shot. Conti again ahead to the opposite wing. Cross-court pass, Conti for three.
That's cold-blooded. And great recognition from Cole to be able to skip the ball across to the open shooter.
Ryan, not that time in transition. Conti's got 3 threes. Great time, finds Blitzarves. What a pass, what a find, Conti.
Phenomenal, almost like a quarterback in the NFL. To be able to hit that moving target with a defender on you, unbelievable pass.
Great vision. It's a timeout on the floor. The Flyers keep on marching up to 28 points, the biggest lead of the ball game. And this timeout brought to you by Aussie Hoops. Aussie Hoops has been setting the basketball foundations for kids aged 5 to 10 for quite some time now. Whether your kids are basketball fans or simply looking to be a part of a team environment, register them at Aussie Hoops to kickstart their basketball journey. Flyers now 89 points on the board with plenty of time remaining in this contest.
Yeah, they've been phenomenal in this one, and you know, for them to have this amount of points on the board, it shows. You know, I keep going to the offensive talent that they have individually, but then the way that they play together, they share the basketball, and I've given them a whole lot of praise for the spacing that they've had and been able to maintain within the half court. It forces you to have to chase and move around and close out all of these great players who can both shoot the three-point shot, but then beat you off the bounce. They're smart enough to go inside with the pass to anybody that's posting up or cutting to the basket, and that's what's giving them space to have those back cut looks that you've been seeing. It's as good as an offensive performance as I've seen this season.
And 5-1 at the State Basketball Centre this season, the Southside Flyers, and barring the most unbelievable of mishaps, will improve to 6-1. It's been a powerful place for them. Ahead to Thornton, extra pass, Conti. Chasing it down though was Kayla Thornton. So now they'll reset. Cole down low to Blitzarves. Well placed entry pass.
Really was, and she holds contact and only releases her position to go and get possession, and then she's on balance with her feet to be able to get the finish.
Outwell straight down the lane, and 2 shots.
And she's traditionally known as a three-point threat, so where she can mix that up with getting to the rim off the bounce, it makes her a difficult matchup for teams. And then, you know, now perhaps you're closing her out a little bit shorter, knowing that she's probably going to put her head down and try and get to the rim, and then she gets her three-point shot going. It's a really smart play by Amy Atwell.
Her first trip to the free-throw line this afternoon. As Nadia Poch comes into the ball game.
Now, you want to keep your flow if you're the Perth Lynx. So, you know, maybe this one's out of their reach. They've started the quarter 11-zip before this set of free throws. At some point, you've got to concede that this is the season series against the Flyers. You've got a really important game to play next week against the Bendigo Spirit. Maybe you start to roll your bench in and start to get them minutes and get them a little bit of rhythm. Rest your starters, you know, like we're seeing here. We may not see the starting 5 for the Lynx for the rest of the game.
It's going to be a huge game. As Thornton missing right. So if this one continues the way it is, the Lynx will drop to 10-8. The Spirit will go back into the 4. Massive, massive ramifications between those two. It was Perth who prevailed by 4 points in Bendigo last time they met. Here's Clinch Hoykard. Hand off Gandini. Too strong on the 3.
Now, if you're the Flyers, I mean, you can roll through any collection of players that is out there on your roster, but you don't want your standards to drop. So you're watching and hoping that there's not going to be any slippage in terms of your execution, your relentlessness to run in transition, your defensive pressure, even though the margin is what it is. You'd be preaching to your group about the value of creating good habits, especially in this business end of the season, that almost see the scoreboard as 0-0 and be able to just execute qualitatively, you know, the style of basketball that you want.
Poch. Back out to Conti. Now Cole straight away, dumps it down low. Thornton, fade away too.
Silky smooth by her. You know, she's gotten going in this last quarter, you know, being able to carry the scoring burden and keep that thing ticking over for the Southside Flyers.
Burrows penetrates. Clinch Højgaard for three. Conti looks a little ginger on that last possession. Here's Cole. She'll shoot for three. No good that time. And Conti definitely looks to be hampering some sort of injury. Here's Atwell. Backed out to Burrows. Backing down Conti. Clinch Højgaard puts it on the deck. Conti fighting hard. Warrior defensively. And she will take a break. Here comes Rochi after an extended spell.
And heck of a job defensively to be able to close down all of those spatial advantages that Perth was able to create off the bounce there. Their defense, the Southside Flyers, is as good as I've seen in a number of seasons from their basketball club.
Burrows driving on Ernst. Fighting hard was Edwards. So the call on the Flyers, and it might be number 5 for Maddie Rochi. Confirmation in a moment if her afternoon is done. And it will be number 5 on Rochi. 15 points, 3 dimes on the Arvo. So Conti straight back out there.
She might not have even had a chance to get a sip of water.
Yeah. No greater than 20 or 30 seconds. You'd suspect. Here's Burrows. Thornton defending. Clinch Højgaard on the perimeter, driving on Poch. Great finish.
Great finish, and equally as good defense by Poch to try and stay with her and force her to have to shoot over the top of you.
Miscommunication with Thornton. Just turnover number 9 on the game for the Flyers. Now Burrows has the Edwards pick. Drives on Conti. Good defense again, as you mentioned, Mark.
Yeah, she's terrific, and you know, we give her so much praise, but she's as good as there is in the competition at being able to stay with and contain even the quickest guards.
Cole now down low. Thornton hanging and finishing.
Such a talented scorer. In this competition, she's got the ability to light up and get you 30 points on any given night.
To 15 in the outing. And Højgaard driving down low. Poch tried to intercept, somehow found Gandini. Southside ball. Back to Thornton, averaging 17 points a game, but you suspect that, you know, perhaps in other teams where she was required to score at a high volume, she could absolutely lead this league in scoring.
She really could, and I mean, she's called upon to do that a number of times within the season here for the Southside Flyers. I mentioned earlier that a game-winning play was drawn up for her, so that gives you a picture of just how much value she can bring and just how much trust that Coach Chambers has in her as a scoring weapon.
Ernst infringed as her team approaches triple figures here. So Ernst at the line. Sporting that beautifully designed Indigenous themed jersey for Indigenous round here on round 14, designed by Emma Stenhouse for the Flyers. And Ernst converts. Here's Burrows. Now Clinch Højgaard. Hand off Gandini. Lutsav denying Burrows. Somehow found it. Edwards is there. Southside defense giving nothing away, but Atwell for 3.
She's tough, right? So she's always a threat from the three-point line. Shoots over the outstretched hand of Poch, which is really difficult to do. She's quite a long athlete. Knocks down the triple.
Atwell, the lone starter, remaining out there for the Lynx at the moment. Played just the 18 minutes in the contest. Cole, the nice finish off the backboard.
That's what I mentioned earlier. So her going to her left hand, her pull-up jump shot and her floater, she's gotten into a rhythm with that over the course of the past couple of years. So when teams push her to that left hand, that non-preferred left hand, she still has a comfort in being able to finish off the bounce.
Flyers basketball. .27 points the margin. 3.5 remaining in the ball game as Clinch Hoykart will take a break. Here's Cole. Running point. Ernst at the perimeter. Now off the dribble. Tried to find Thornton.
And smart to try to run Ernst off the three-point line, especially the way that she's been shooting. Now the next portion of your scout comes in. She's got a preference to go to her left hand off the bounce. So where possible, you try to shade her to her right.
12 seconds. Ernst wide open. Won't go that time. Atwell. Nice find. Edwards.
Outstanding pass and great change of pace to go stop, start a little bit of a stutter step and then make the great pass to Jessie Edwards at the basket.
Cole disposed of it by Gandini. Perth with another opportunity. Finds Burrows slashing and finishing.
With the left hand, no less. Tough finish at pace over the outstretched hand of the taller Ernst.
Litzarves. Finds Cole. Many of the Flyers starters still out there to finish this one. Koch at the block. Ernst backing away for two.
That's a trademark move of hers as well. Anytime that you see her catch on the move and take a dribble backwards, you know it's going up. And once she gets the ball raised above her shoulders, her release point is so high, it's tough to disrupt or block.
Turnover against Burrows. It might have been last touch by the Flyers. So Burrows to inbound. And Ernst will take a break. 21 points in the ball game is her final tally. 7 boards. And here comes Pinot and Hollandsworth for the Southside Flyers. Litzarves to take a break as well. Into Atwell, corner triple.
Splash.
Crisp shot from the corner for Atwell.
Just unfortunate that she couldn't have some of those knocked down earlier in the game. We could have had a different ball game here.
It hasn't quite been her afternoon as totality. But good to get some minutes and some baskets to fall before the afternoon finishes going into next week, Mark.
Yeah, and you know she's going to be one that they're going to need to have firing on the offensive end. They've got so many offensive weapons from the three-point line, and she's as deadly as there is. She had 7 three-pointers against the Melbourne Boomers in a big win on the road, so we know she's got the capacity to deliver against really good opposition.
Great hustle from Burrows. Here's Bibby. Gandini. Now Atwell. Defended by Poch. Step back again for 3. Atwell feeling it in the fourth.
Case in point. That can come in a barrage.
Takes her tally to 14 points.
And this will be why Coach Petrick has left her out there, because she's such a rhythm shooter, so you want to give her opportunities to be able to get her shot going so she can feel good about herself and have a confidence coming into the remainder of games for their season, which are going to be really, really important if they're going to push for that 4th spot in the finals race.
90 seconds out from the finish here. Big afternoon from Thornton. Played 33 minutes, 15 points. He's Poch. Thought about the triple. Gets around Atwell. What a finish.
Really hard finish. Had 2 players come in trying to get a fingertip to the ball, and then had Jessie Edwards in front of her.
Big screen on Hollandsworth. Here's Pinot for Southside. Stop the game to make sure she's okay.
I don't think that was anything untoward. I think she just wasn't expecting the contact.
Completely unawares.
But good on Jessie Edwards in the manner of sportsmanship to go and check on her and make sure she's okay at the first break in play.
Looks to be okay to continue. The Southside ball. .1 lead. His biggest lead was 30 at one stage for the Flyers. This their fortress at the State Basketball Centre. What an important victory this will be to stay inside the top two and to draw even as well on wins with the Townsville Fire, Mark.
Yeah, you know, look, I mean, the finals race is wide open right now, and so many of these games down the back end have implications to change who plays who does make finals or who misses out. The race is going to be a really hotly contested one, and it encourages you to tune into all of these games.
Top three especially. Very, very tight. The Flyers, the Fire and the Boomers, who we'll see just after this. Potch driving hard, not that time. Edwards pulls it down. Atwell, defended by Potch. Trying to worry Burrows out of it. Did well in the end, out to Bibby. Back into the contest. Fade away, big block by Thornton. Assertive, this is her house.
Exemplary of the type of defense that the Flyers have been playing in this game. They've done a heck of a job being able to hold the Lynx's scoring prowess at bay.
Pinot inside the lane. Here's Burrows. One last look for the Lynx. Easy bucket, and Bibby will waltz in for two. So that'll do it for the Southside Flyers. What a first quarter, what a first half. They had nearly 60 points on the board at the halftime break. And they prevail here by 19 points in a huge victory over the Perth Lynx to remain in the top two of the Cygnett WNBL going into round 15.
And tremendous. I mean, a massive, massive effort when they needed to step up and get the win against a hungry opponent. The Flyers delivered and passed that test with flying colours.
Their 14th win of the season, drawing even with the Fire on wins, remaining in second by matter of losses. But they're now 6-1 at the State Basketball Centre this season. What a game. Scintillating shooting from the Flyers. 50% from the field. And from three, they made 9 triples, led by Carly Ernst with 21. What a performance. Leah Mellison and Mark Alabakov to bring it to you. And don't go anywhere, because there's another big game of WNBL hoops coming up right after this. The Flames and the Boomers just after. It's the Southside Flyers by 19 for the Cygnett WNBL.